I think that a lot of the suffering in the world is based on our attachments. You know, looking at the energies of positive and negative flows in our lives, I think it's really important to pay attention to what it is that we're attached to. And it's such a deep and big subject, you know, attachment. And it's one of the basic principles of the Buddhist traditions, which is something that I've studied in the past. A lot of people ask me, are you Buddhist? And I go, well, I don't really subscribe to that label, if you would, but I do subscribe to many of the precepts and the concepts that the Buddhist tradition hold. And what I really love about the idea of looking at attachments versus non-attachments is that it really is a matter of mindfulness. It's a matter of really understanding what your thoughts are and where you are trying to hold on to one thing and let go of another. And so many of us were taught in this society basically that, you know, we live in the mind, that what we have here is all the reality that we have, and that we have the ability to create. And it's funny because it's the same conversation that goes on in a lot of esoteric circles, those who have studied and the law of attraction and the secret. You know, it's, again, the power is within the mind. However, people get attached to thoughts and they believe that their thoughts are all there is, when there's a lot more other things going on in terms of creating and manifesting. And so when they don't get what it is that they think they want, it creates a huge opportunity for suffering. Why? Because the ego wants what it wants all the time. And it definitely wants what it wants when it wants it. So there's a really big lesson to learn in that, because we don't, you know, I remember a phrase that my mother and my grandmother, someone in my family says, you know, how does it feel to want? You know, well, as children, we're always desiring, we're having to ask permission to get things, and when a child doesn't get what it wants, what happens? It goes into a tantrum and a fit sometimes, oftentimes. And it's oftentimes in the middle of church or in the middle of the grocery store, right? Well, our egos are very much the same way, because it identifies itself with a certain attachment to ideas or thoughts or beliefs, which is why so many religions are difficult for people to be able to open up and broaden out, because they're attached to a very specific set of beliefs and ideas within their own mind. And there's a lot of judgment within that, I believe. And so when something doesn't really kind of flow or fall in line with what it is that is perceived there, it's as if everything within our ego self goes, wait, hold on, you know, what is real and what's not real, and it kind of goes to a fit. That's not what I want. I need solid, foundational, you know, evidence and proof for what it is that I believe. And things are constantly changing and shifting. So a lot of the suffering comes from the attachments to our belief systems and our thoughts and ideas. But if you go and look at a way of life which just allows things to flow into, and realize that, yes, you can create, you have a very huge ability to create many, many opportunities and things in your life, but you also are influenced by so many things that are going on all around you, and that there's this big universal force that also is here wanting to offer up experience to you in your life and what it is that you've agreed to come here to do. Now that's a whole other topic in and of itself as well, you know, life purpose and so on and so forth, which we'll cover in one of these talks. But it's really about ending our idea of suffering based on what it is that we know in any given moment, and in our attachment to what it is that we think we know. And I love that statement so much, because we think we know everything oftentimes. Our ego is very confident and filled in what it knows. But what we know is simply a grain of sand, you know, on a vast shore of possibilities, an infinite, wide and deep, sandy beach, you know, which sits on the edge of an infinite, more infinitely wide ocean of possibilities. But the ego doesn't like that idea because there's that so much more that makes it uncomfortable. It's like that child that wants what it wants when it wants it and wants to control everything around in order to get it. And most people that end up not having a hard time in terms of their life experience, realizing that they don't actually control much of anything, end up suffering the most if they aren't able to let go of these attachments to their thoughts, their ideas. And then it kind of translates into also the stuff all around them. You know, their homes, their cars, their status. That's a huge ego boost. And so many people are going through a process right now where all of that is just coming apart. And people are really deeply suffering, if not on a physical level through lost jobs and loss of homes and, you know, and having to transition physically in their lives. There's a lot of spiritual transitions and emotional transitions going on with that. And I believe that for everyone to really kind of evolve into the next phase of being, they have to be able to let go of their identity of all of those things, to become unattached to any specific one idea or thought about who they are, why they are, and how they are doing it in life, and expand into something even greater, to allow the infinite ocean and the infinite shore to show them and teach them something. And when you do that, and you speak with the people who have done that specifically, you realize that suffering is simply an illusion, and that, going back to the energies of life, that there is nothing that does not serve us perfectly and whole in every single moment. And a field opens up that's really just beautiful, a field of experience that I look at people suffer now, and I send them as much positive light, love as I can, but know that any negative energies that are occurring in their lives are also great teachers for them as well. And so finding gratitude in all of that is really key and huge. And it's hard to be attached when you're grateful.